Welcome, everybody. Here we go with another edition of Mystery Wire with George Knapp, with John Forrest and Carlos Sampson. I'm Ron Futrell. George, happy UFO Day today is the time that we're taping this.
I hope you brought gifts. Yeah, at the day we're recording this, it's the day that one version of the story, the Roswell object, crashed, and some people call it World UFO Day. So somewhere out there, there's a big party going on, and we're not invited.
And how do you celebrate, though? Are you celebrating anyway today?
It's a solemn occasion for me. You know,
okay,
solemn.
Reverence. You treat it with reverence on this day. We're also coming upon the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. So big celebration there certainly happening. So this is going to have a little bit of a patriotic theme with the Thunderbirds a little bit later in the show. But aircraft and what the nation has done in that area. And one of the areas involved in that people may not know about, we've got a graphic to show, Area 51. But everybody knows Area 51 thanks to you, right, George. Area 52 also, you've done a lot of story. Explain to us what this graphic is, what Area 52 is.
I think a lot of people have played off of the name Area 52 thinking it's a clever joke, and they've made products out of it, cannabis, gummies. There are bands that are named after it. There are video games. It's all over the place. Cartoons that we're going to see a little bit later, and a podcast by a guy named Chris Ramsey, who's a friend of mine. And I think people use that term thinking they're being clever playing off Area 51, but it's a real place. Area 52, otherwise known as the Tonopah Test Range, is a sister facility to Area 51. Area 51 up in the northeastern corner of the Nevada test site. Tonopah Test Range, Area 52, is further west over near Tonopah, the town of Tonopah. People in Tonopah generally keep their mouths shut about what goes on out there, but in general, the way it works is top secret projects get built at Palmdale, Plant 42, and then get flown for the first time at Edwards. And then they go to Area 51 where they're really developed. And after they become operational, they go to Area 52, Tonopah. So there are a lot of top secret projects that have been flown out there, a lot of other kinds of projects, and some pretty fearsome weapons that have been tested over the years. But it's a pretty cool place. We're
going to talk about some of those weapons. I've driven through there. There is, as you have many times, dozens of times I've gone through there. There is not much to see in the middle of the state, and that's on purpose, at least when it comes to secret bases like this, for them to be able to test these aircraft in no man's land, really, and that's what they do in Tonopah.
Yeah, right. And, it's some great important work goes there. The same Janet planes that are used to fly workers from Las Vegas out to Area 51 are used to ferry employees out to Area 52. I know that there are people who have tried to take the name and adopt it to other places. For example, UFO researchers in Utah wanted to make Dugway Proving Grounds. They want to call that Area 52 because a lot of spooky stuff goes on out there. But actually, Area 52 is the name of that Tonopah Test Range. And this is an Atomic Energy Commission Nevada Operations Office telephone directory from April 1965 that don't ask me how I came across it, but it's got phone numbers for Area 51 and Area 52. That's what they called it. It's a real place, and that was a real name for it.
And you got the phone book to prove it, certainly, and you've been out there many times.
Yeah.
We have the aircraft now to prove it. You went up there not long ago and got a story. Talk with some of the residents up there about this secret. They all know about it. They're pretty good at keeping secrets, though. The people you talk to.
Yeah, well, yeah. Their friends and relatives work out there. They don't want to do something that's going to endanger their lives or national security, so they're generally pretty tight-lipped about what they see flying in the sky. They've been seeing stuff flying in the sky for a very long time. The F-117 was out there when it became operational. They were seeing it for years and never said much about it.
Here you go. That story from George talking about Area 52. You'll enjoy it.
Cisco's, we deliver.
At Cisco's in Tonopah, you can get a grilled cheese or crispy fries, but you won't get much information. Not if it's about the classified base to the east of this hardscrabble town. Jose Ramirez has two family members who work out there.
No, and I don't ask the kids. I don't want to know. I don't even want to put them in that position.
It's a Tonopah tradition to keep a tight lip about a place they call the base. Back in the mid-'80s, when the rest of the world was still in the dark about stealth technology, Tonopah residents saw bat-like 117s flying overhead almost nightly, but didn't tell anyone. The base, all 525 square miles of it, is best known as the Tonopah Test Range, or TTR. In government documents, however, it's called Area 52, sort of a nod to a better-known and far more secretive sister facility on the other side of the Nellis Range, Area 51. The connection between the two is more than sequential.
Yes, TTR is really referred to in official documents as Area 52. On several occasions, actually, black projects moved from Area 51 to Tonopah Test Range. Area 51, of course, being a super secret facility, Tonopah Test Range being slightly less secret.
Jorg Arnu runs a website that's a clearinghouse for information about the black world, especially areas 51 and 52. The most obvious indication that 52 is less secretive than 51 is a rocket-shaped sign 20 miles east of Tonopah. Unlike 51, TTR is listed on most maps, although the paved road leading to the base isn't. At the main gate, armed security forces stop any unauthorized visitors. Area 52 is managed by the Sandia Corporation, a subsidiary of Lockheed Martin. The base serves both the Departments of Energy and Defense. Because the area is so isolated, it's the perfect spot to cut loose. It's here that new missiles are tested, bombs are dropped, cannons are fired, bunker busters are tried, and all sorts of things that go boom.
Where they can blow stuff up and nobody even cares.
It took decades for these images from Area 52 to be declassified. It will be decades more before we see what's underway now. One effort believed underway at TTR is the weaponization of UAVs. This is where the military figured out how to strap missiles on the Predators, for example, and it's believed the work on drones is a major effort at TTR. If you think secrets can't be kept, you've never met Colonel Gail Peck, who headed a classified program dubbed Constant Peg. From 1978 through 1988, Peck commanded a team of pilots who flew Russian MiGs in simulated combat against American warplanes. It's long been known that Area 51 had MiGs for radar testing. Peck put those planes into combat action from Area 52.
It was compartmented into what we could call, I guess now, a must-know, meaning that if you were going to participate, you were brought into the program, briefed, you participated in the program, and then you were debriefed, the door shut behind you.
They built the long runway at TTR not for the stealth, as everyone has long believed, but for a fleet of MiGs. Through 10 years and 15,000 sorties, the public never knew about it until 11 months ago, some 19 years after the program ended.
No, that is fascinating, that MiGs, along with everything else, the Blackbird out there and the stealth fighters, a few Russian MiGs out there as well.
Yeah, the story of how they obtained all those MiGs is a pretty good one, and we'll have to tell that at some other point. And some of them, I have no idea how they got them, but they got them, and they were flying them to
You didn't
test.
bring them back to Russia
I
with
didn't.
you.
I had nothing to do with it. No.
Okay.
But, it's amazing that went on for so long with so many flights over so many years, and not a word of it leaked out. So secrets can be kept. Secrets are being kept.
And you've kept a lot of them. Certainly, you've known them and kept them over the years. The ones that you've been told you should. Okay. In that sense, we're going to have more on your report from the TTR, the Tonopah Test Range, Area 52. Also talk about what they're doing today up there. So take a look at some of the aircraft of the future that's being tested, likely, at that location when Mystery Wire returns. All right, we're talking some Area 52 with you today. Everybody knows Area 51. We're going 52 a little bit. If you look through the middle of Nevada, it's sort of in the middle of the state. Between Las Vegas and Reno is Tonopah, small little town on Highway 95. It's going to be eventually be 11, isn't it going to be? They're going to call it Highway 11?
I think so, yeah. It's changing it. But, Tonopah is a cool place.
It is.
I love rural Nevada, all those little towns, Tonopah, Goldfield. It's just a great trip to make, a great road trip. Even though if you're not used to seeing desert, it looks empty and bleak, but it's beautiful. There's beautiful country out there.
A lot of little mining communities you'll find here throughout the state of Nevada. Obviously, we're the Silver State, not just because we chose that name. There's a lot of silver here and other things to be mined in the state of Nevada. And Tonopah is largely that. You can see some of the relics of some of the mines as you go to and from. But you also see Area 52, stuff you don't want to see, really, or you shouldn't see. But the residents up there see it quite often. Here's another part, George, of your story on Area 52.
When the Washington Post ran this cartoon in 1997 joking that Area 52 is where the government hides its elves and gnomes, it didn't realize there really is an Area 52, also known as the Tonopah Test Range. It might not house any elves, but it's where the military grapples with gremlins. For example, how to better exploit pilotless drones, or how to use parachutes to deliver nuclear bombs. The Sandia Corporation, which manages Area 52, is working on a fusion reactor, which it pointedly announced is, quote, not from Area 51, a more secretive sister facility. From public land, it's easy to see Area 52's large infrastructure with accommodation for thousands. The long runway was built for a fleet of pilfered Russian MiGs, which flew 15,000 missions without the public ever knowing. The first stealth wing followed the MiGs, also in total secrecy. In nearby Tonopah, residents like Jose Ramirez say they see dozens of contrails from the base every day, most likely the transport planes carrying employees from a private terminal in Las Vegas. To work on what, though?
When I first got here, they were talking about they were working on an airplane that would go up into space and come back down and land for NASA.
Designs for secret space planes have been openly discussed in aviation journals, and most look a lot like something from another planet, the kind of craft long associated with that other base, Area 51.
Most people think I'm absolutely nuts. And that's okay with me.
Famed pilot John Lear, whose father developed the Lear jet, helped to popularize stories about saucers at Area 51, but has also spent years poking around the perimeter of Area 52. Lear says there are other unknown facilities hidden on the test ranges, and satellite imagery tends to back him up. They're all over the place. He says the biggest secrets, though, are underground.
There is so much stuff underground that it's essentially all the secret stuff is underground now.
Example, Lear alleges that a clean nuclear device was used to create a giant chamber under Paiute Mesa in Area 52, and that a facility capable of housing 25,000 people or troops is active out there. He says he heard part of this from a cement truck driver who worked there.
He said it would take at least, 4 hours to get to the bottom, dump the cement, and then wind his way back up. For some reason, he disappeared off the face of the earth after he told us that story.
Lear further alleges there's a high-speed underground train that runs from Area 52 to Las Vegas, a concept that test site tunnel workers say is highly unlikely. And he says pilots told him there are secret runways out there that open and close like zippers.
At 500 feet, they'll look down and it'll be just like forest or desert or just normal landscape, and all of a sudden it'll unzip like this and they'll see a runway.
There's some evidence for one of Lear's suspicions, one that harkens back to the claims of former government scientist Bob Lazar, who said he worked on flying saucers at a place called S4 or Site 4. Nellis confirmed to us there is more than one S4 on the test range, and one of them is a TTR. Workers have claimed the S4 inside Area 52 requires special entry. It's believed that highly advanced radar research is one project. Watchdogs say they don't believe there's a big underground operation.
There is a Site 4, often abbreviated as S4, but as far as I know, there is no underground facilities at TTR.
The F-17.
The man who commanded the secret MiG project for 10 years without any leaks says he knows of no big secret projects now, but admits such secrets can be kept at Area 52.
It is the only place in the world where we can operate discreetly, where we can do things without people watching.
So let's talk about this area a little bit more, Area 52 and Area 51, combine them together here. A lot of employees out there, I've seen your stories you've done with employees that have been harmed, injured out there because of the chemicals and other things that they have had to work on, but they couldn't admit that they even worked there, so it became a rabbit hole for them to go down to get relief.
At Area 51, we were told by workers and their spouses and their widows in particular about these toxic fumes they were exposed to. Nothing could ever leave Area 51, so they would take all garbage, composite materials that were used in the stealth, throw it into a big trench, douse it with jet fuel, and burn it. And the toxic smoke would be breathed by the employees. The employees started getting sick. A couple of them died. All they wanted to know is, can you tell us what we were exposed to so we can tell our doctors? And the answer was no. KLAS attached itself to that case. It went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. The workers essentially lost, and then a presidential decree exempted Area 51 from all kinds of environmental laws. Same thing has happened at Area 52. There are a lot of people who are now getting sick because of things that they were exposed to: radiation, toxic chemicals, maybe some sort of exotic bioweapons type of material. They cannot even prove that they were ever out there because their records leave it out. So feel really bad for those folks, but they need help, as the test site workers who were exposed to radiation later got billions of dollars that were handed out to those workers who got sick and died.
Well, let's use the word disclosure on this one. No, that they're okay. We talk disclosure relative to UFOs quite a bit, but there needs to be disclosure.
Yeah. Sure.
On this stuff that's happening out there, especially since you're talking decades now ago that this happened.
These are people who gave their lives for national security. They kept their mouths shut. They've honored their oaths. They did their best to protect our country and protect the world from bad guys, and they're not being treated very well.
They helped win the Cold War.
Yeah.
No question about
Exactly.
it. They won the Cold War. Okay, let's talk about some of the aircraft out there now. The F-47. Let's get a picture of it. And some of this stuff is hard to find, but this is a manned aircraft, can fly at Mach 2. It's a Boeing aircraft, from what I understand. Tell us a little bit. Is it out there at Area 52, do you think, right now, or would it go there?
No, I think, according to the people like Jorg Arnu and others, they expect it to be coming to Area 51. And after Area 51 for a while, then it could go to Area 52. But I don't believe it's out there right now. But this is being a pretty amazing plane once it gets going. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's a fighter aircraft, manned aircraft. They're also looking at, I've been out to Creech Air Force Base and seen the Reaper and Predator drone system that they have out there. You saw some of those in the story. I've been fascinated by the fact that we can have pilots taking care of flying aircraft remotely 8,000 miles away. This is a shot of the Fury. It's the F-44 Fury is what it's called. This is about half the size of a Thunderbird jet. Okay, we'll get to the Thunderbirds in a moment. It's unmanned, can fly at almost Mach 1, and it will accompany manned aircraft, maybe the F-47 at some point. This plane will fly alongside them unmanned.
Right.
To me, is fascinating.
Yeah. And, I know that I'm not sure if it's the 44 or the 47, but I think it's the 47 that they have. These pilots will fly along. They will unleash these drones to fly along with them. They can act independently, but you can have as many as 10 other planes. It's like a force multiplier. There's some amazing technology being developed out there in the Nevada desert.
No, it's truly remarkable, and I'd like to say they got a front row seat there in Tonopah at the test range. They do, and they don't. I mean, they sort of do.
I should add this. We heard from John Lear in that story, the late John Lear, and he was an intrepid investigator. He spent I don't know how many countless hours sitting outside of Tonopah Test Range, the fence, with the likes of Jim Goodall and other aviation enthusiasts and experts. And the guards got so used to seeing them, they'd figure out there's just Lear and Goodall again. But you don't always take everything literally that John Lear said. He was very helpful to us in our investigations over the years, but I never was able to confirm that there's these gigantic underground facilities at 51 or 52. I have confirmed that there are other facilities out there in the test site that are very hard to detect, but I'm not sure that they go too deep underground.
Bless him. He threw a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah.
That he'd heard.
I mean, we got a lot of stuff underground out in the Nevada Test Range and test site. We've seen those tunnels, hundreds of miles of tunnels. They have their own underground railroad in some of them. But as far as gigantic underground cities, I've never been able to confirm that.
Okay, when we come back, I want to hear about your trip to Tickaboo Peak and also the Air Force Thunderbird. Let's go with a current aircraft that we all know about, the Thunderbirds, when we return. Okay, you mentioned a place to me that I had not heard of before, and that's Tickaboo Peak. And you and Matt Adams took a trip out there recently. Tell me a little bit about what that was about, what it involves.
Tickaboo Peak is 25 miles away from Area 51, and it's one of the only remaining places where somebody with a powerful enough lens can look down on Area 51 and see anything. 25 miles away, you got to have a pretty good camera to see it. It's public land, or at least it was until several weeks ago when the BLM issued an order and put up signs like this and cut it off and say nobody is allowed to go up there anymore or else. They're using a sort of a made-up excuse that we don't want the public to get hurt up there. Hikers can fall down and there's no medical care. This is actually at the order of the Air Force. They seized a gigantic, it's like 25 square miles of land, public land, that is a long way, as I said, away from the base. It's similar to other land grabs that have happened before. In 1984, the U.S. Air Force illegally seized 89,000 acres of land around Area 51 as a buffer zone so people couldn't see the F-117 and other projects flying around out there. In the early 90s, they seized more vantage points. After our stories about Area 51 went out, all kinds of people flocked to the desert to try to find vantage points to look down on Area 51. The most common of those, something called Freedom Ridge and another thing called Whitesides Mountain that I climbed up at one point, have been taken. But this is the first, they're right next to the base. This is the first time that public lands 25 miles away from Area 51 have been seized. And I think a lot of people are going to be upset about it when they find the reasoning behind it and what it means, what it cuts off. There's some really cool, sensitive, historic, and archaeological areas that are now off limits to the public. And I think there's going to be a stink about it when we finally get around to putting this on the air.
Looking forward to hearing more from that in a future episode of Mystery Wire and on 8 News Now. Also, over the valley here, the last few days, we've had the Thunderbirds flying overhead. So I wanted to end with showing some of that video, just a spray of some of the shots around the Las Vegas Strip. U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds, those are F-16s. I had the opportunity to fly in one.
Rub it in, Ron.
30 years ago.
Rub it in.
Oh, the ride of a lifetime. I could go forever on how fun that was and how just remarkable it was to see what they do out at Nellis Air Force Base here in town, and respect for the Thunderbirds and what they bring.
It's one of the great advantages of living here. It's the home of the Thunderbirds. So a couple times a year, you see them practicing, getting back in shape to go on tour. There's a shot of that's online that I've seen them flying over Hoover Dam. Very patriotic, makes you swell with pride kind of a thing. And they're amazing. It's an amazing precision flying team. No,
it is remarkable to see what they go through. They also let you, in my case, they let you fly it a little bit up there. I had my hand on the, once we're up and we're safe, we're 20,000 feet. Oh, here we go, the Hoover Dam shot.
Yeah.
But they let you take the stick and handle it and do a few maneuvers with it, which was sort of crezy. So there I am rubbing it a little bit.
Yeah,
One of these days we'll do an episode where I'm going to talk about my flight with the Thunderbirds, because it is a remarkable blessing to have in this nation and also here in Las Vegas. So, George, thank you very much. We'll look for your stories coming up on Tickaboo Peak and more online, 8newsnow.com. You can check out all of our past episodes here. Okay. All right. Happy 250 USA. Thanks for watching, everybody.